Timofey, do you practice any specific methods to cope with stress? The stress, which is an euphemism for fear, because when we say that we say about the stress, it really means the fear. Do you practice any specific method?
I think it all depends on your point of view, on your point of view of the situation. Because when do we experience fear? In some situations through which happen in our lifetime. Maybe you fear for your life, or maybe you fear for your career, and maybe you fear for your money. There are situations, events in your life that when you find yourself in them, you experience fear. And that's because you have a certain point of view in the situation, which comes from who you are and from your life experience, from your way of thinking, from your mindset, from everything. It depends on everything. So maybe it is enough not to change yourself greatly in a situation to not to experience fear, but to change your point of view. Because as they say, everything that happens in your life is for the good. So maybe something happens to for you to teach you something, or to make you see something from a different angle. But when you are rigid, when you think in stereotypes, when you do not want to change yourself or something like this, it always is connected with fear of change, fear of losing something, fear of you name it. So maybe the key is to be flexible like this, and to try to ask yourself, when there is this moment when you're about to fear something, why do I have this situation in my life? Why am I here? What the situation is teaching me right now? And these questions that you ask yourself will make you immediately, will make your point of view flexible. So in this time, you will have options to think of, and you can you will see that the fear is not 100% way to go. There are different ways of thinking, different ways of perceiving the situation, and I suggest to try this method because it works greatly. And over time, you find yourself that you perceive fear in a different way. You perceive fear not like an enemy, or not like something bad, something you have to avoid, but fear becomes a guardian to you. I don't know how to name it in better words, but sometimes it can save your life, fear, or maybe it teaches you something. Well, you have to try it yourself and just learn something from this. So the answer is to change your point of view. Try to do this.
Thank you. I would add that to be in control of fear, that is the point, yes? Not allowing the fear control you, but to be in control of fear.
Yeah, because fear is inside of you. It's part of you. So that's the part that you don't know about yourself. And when you treat it this way, it becomes easier to handle, because it's you, it's something inside of you that you discovered right now. And that's how you also see it from a different angle, and you're taking control of it. And not to taking control, not to dominate or to erase it or destroy it, but to find it a good place within you, and to make it serve you in a positive way. So as I said earlier, maybe sometimes fear can save your life.
Yeah. So another question: what motivates you to act as a coordinator of the ethics of the cosmos movement? That is a very personal, important question to me.
What motivates me is me treating this activity as my divine purpose. And my wish, my desire to change this world for the better. Because I don't know, am I humble or not? But I think I know something that other people should also know. And maybe it will make their lives easier and make their path to change easier. Because from my point of view, changing yourself is not a such great work. It's not. It may take not too much time as it is commonly known. Sometimes it is an instant, and you are a different man from if you. So if you're striving the change, if you're striving for change. So what motivates me is my understanding and my conscious awareness of this as my divine purpose. And also the thing that who else would do this if not me? I think this question and this way of thinking is good for everyone. If not me, then who? Then who will change something? Who will do this? So what we are trying to do, right?
Yeah.
And
okay,
I think that just comes to my mind right now.
All right. Because of your profession, is the subject of extraterrestrial civilization often discussed in among us cosmonauts?
Yes, I'm the trainer of cosmonauts at the Gagarin Cosmonauts Training Center in Star City, Russia. But I would say no. It is very rarely discussed among cosmonauts. Maybe I do not know each and every cosmonaut, but I know the most Russian and astronauts, also European and American. But I didn't ever hear somebody talking or discussing UFOs or talking about the UFOs. But I heard stories from my colleagues at my work who were pilots with great flight experience, with 40 years flight experience and less, who told me about UFO sightings, different types of UFOs, and not only they saw them, but their the different personnel from their military units saw when they reported to the ground. So yes, I heard the stories, but not from cosmonauts. I don't know why. Maybe Maybe they are not allowed to talk about this. I don't know.
Okay. Have you ever seen UFOs?
No, I have never seen a UFO in terms of a flying saucer or something like this, but I have numerous times experienced some anomalies and very strange things, but they are not strange, maybe from some point of view in my life, yes. And also I have an experience when uh, I don't know how to explain this, but I have traveled to some places in my consciousness, and that's one. And the second thing, that I had an encounter at night. It was in 2005 when I saw 3 beings coming in my room, and I was paralyzed by the light. It was a very bright light. It was bluish or very, very, very bright light, but not blinding. And I can talk about this if you want.
Yeah, sure.
So it was in 2005. At that time, I had no idea of thinking about if there are extraterrestrials or not. I was not interested in UFOs or something like this. And I had a business trip with my colleague, and we were in a hotel. We were in a room, 2 of us. I was sleeping in the bed that was next to the wall. Then in the middle of the room was his bed. And then there was a big, large window, and it covered almost all the wall, the window. So that was just a regular night. I was, we went to sleep, and I I I awoke in the middle of the night. I could barely open my eyes, and I saw the room filled with very, very bright light. And the first thought that went through my mind was, this light is like water, and you cannot feel more light in this room that it is now. It was very, very bright and intensive, but was not blinding. And I was absolutely paralyzed. I couldn't move. I tried to open my eyes wider, but I couldn't. I could not control myself, and I started to feeling frightened. Then I saw the silhouette of my colleague's bed, and I saw him sleeping on the bed. It was black against this wall of light, so I could saw him sleeping. And then I saw 3 creatures. They were about 1 meter and something tall. They were looking like, as they portray aliens, as they call them, grays, like with a big head and a skinny body and long hands, long arms, but they were not frightening at all. I didn't feel any disgust or something. I just saw these creatures, and they floated to me like this. They floated to me, and I couldn't understand what was happening. I was absolutely frightened. I tried to move, but I couldn't. I tried to scream, but I couldn't. Everything I could, I just keep my eyes slit open just a little bit, and a thought came through my mind. I was not supposed to have woken up. I was not supposed to have woken up. And then I saw one of them approaching my bed closer, and he reached out his hand like this, He stretched out his hand, and then my perception split. I saw myself from the side. I saw myself lying in the bed, and at the same time I felt myself lying in the bed, and I could feel my body as I would normally do. So my perception split, and I saw what was happening from 2 points of view at the same time. And I saw him stretching out his hand, and he leaned forward, and then my body became transparent, and his hand just went through my body like it was a hologram. His hand went through, and I saw my internal organs, and I saw my heart pumping, and he put his hand around my heart like this, and I couldn't do anything. I couldn't. I was absolutely paralyzed, so I had to watch. I just watched, and he held like his hand like this, and I thought he just can clench his hand to kill me. I thought that he could kill me just by squeezing his hand like this, because he held my heart, but he didn't do it.
Did you feel fear at that moment?
No, at that moment I just watched. I just couldn't feel anything. I just watched and let go. And then he held it for a few seconds, and then he released his hand like this, and with the same speed, slowly he took it away, and they floated back, and I saw their silhouettes. I couldn't see their faces or what they were dressed in. I just could see their silhouettes, and they just floated back, and then I passed out. And then the next morning I woke up just like nothing happened. I had no memories of this episode, and I sat up in my bed, and in a few moments, like an icy bucket of water over my head, these memories came to me. And I turned to my colleague and asked him if he saw anything or hear anything this night. He said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Maybe some light or some sounds." He said, "No, I didn't hear or see anything." Then I decided not to tell him about what happened, and then just I forgot this episode, and for a second I thought that it was just a bad dream, but it absolutely didn't feel like a dream. It felt like a reality. It was reality, and I didn't know why this creature, or this man, or who, I don't know who he was, did this. Maybe he healed me from something. I don't know. So that was my experience, and it came to my mind when I started on this path of looking into UFO phenomenon, this all anomalous phenomena, and that was my encounter of I think that those guys were ETs. Yes, because I also saw similar stories and heard similar stories from different people, and in books and in the internet.
So a part of this experience and the situation, have you ever experienced so-called paranormal events?
Paranormal, you mean different abilities or what?
Whatever what doesn't fit into the normal,
Yes.
so-called normal
Yes.
paradigm.
Yes. I can tell you about one more episode that happened to me maybe it was 2017. Oh no, excuse me, 2011 or 2012, something like this. I was driving my car in a place in Moscow where there are very little people, and there's just a road, a fence, and a large space of nothing and nobody around. And I was in that place when my car just it stopped. So there was a malfunction in the engine, but at that time I didn't know why the car stopped. So I had to, it was in the middle of the road, just in the middle of the road. I came out of the car and there was nobody around. Not a single person, no cars. And I started to look around and trying to find someone to help me to push the car to the side of the road, so I'm not in the way of other cars if they would go. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
So I looked around and looked back, and I saw a man dressed in white. He had long hair like this, just a regular male, coming just in the center of the road, and he approached me and he said, "Do you need help?" Yes, I said, "Yes, please, would you help me to push the car to the side of the road?" So that man appeared from nowhere. I don't know, I didn't pay attention. He said he stood at the back of the car, and I stood near my door, near the driver's door. We started to push the car, and I started to rotate the driving wheel to the left so I could make a turn and put my car at the side of the road. I was just in the middle, so I had to turn to stand at the side of the road. We started pushing the car. A few seconds passed. We were just approaching the side of the road, and I wanted to turn my head to thank him for helping me and to tell him that I do not need help anymore, so he could go. But there was no one. There was absolutely no one. He disappeared. He vanished. And I looked around and I saw no cars, no motorcycles, and there was a fence like this. So he just disappeared. He appeared from nowhere and he disappeared like he never existed. I don't know what was this creature and who this was, but he or it, I don't know, helped me to push my car to the side of the road, and then he disappeared.
Okay, this was the only experience you had with such paranormal events or something else?
I think that's the brightest episode.
Okay.
That's like a physical episode that just made me think that there are different powers in our world, in the universe, that are there. Maybe they're not seen with our eyes or heard, but they're friendly and they help, and they appear when you need help and when you ask for help, and they may even appear in a physical form. to help you and to go away. But they have such a level of evolution that they would only do so if you're ready or if you can handle this. So you can, so you would not go crazy or uh, become depressed or something. So, and there's a hierarchy maybe of these powers, just like you said before, that the whole world is living, but it all they are all in their own frequencies, in their own place in the world, and they can manifest or project themselves into different frequencies, just like this ET vehicle can increase its frequency to slightly disappear and to become with zero mass and move in a different realm, like we would move in our dreams, fly or do anything. And these powers can sometimes make hints in your mind, this direct mind communication. They can appear, they can be ETs, or I don't know, maybe they are not ETs, they are Earth beings, but on a different vibrational frequency, or there is a there's a spectrum of realms which are folded into each other that exist on Earth, maybe something like this.
Simultaneously.
And, yeah, yes. Simultaneously. And that is to me, it's very logical. It's very simple and very natural for the world to be structured like this. Because
yes, if you let me,
yes,
soberly thinking about this, such experiences of many people, not only yours or ours, we perceive only a very small spectrum of electromagnetic oscillations through our eyes and through ears. But this is minor, very, very small spectrum, but the whole reality is much, much wider. So therefore, we create technologies to perceive such frequencies which are not visible, for example, for their naked eyes, but we can perceive objects or things and whatever with night vision devices. So these are not the only sensors developed through last couple of decades, but for sure, we are increasing our capabilities by building technologies to perceive spectrum of frequencies which were not visible and which were not detected by our senses. And this is a very recent history of humankind. So, yeah. Wow, thank you for the answer.
And I wanted to add something.
Yeah.
And from some point of my life, I just started to try to communicate with those powers. And I just multiple times a day, I sometimes turn to them or I communicate with them, and I can feel them just like living beings, but not in a form that you would expect to see, like some physical body or located in some area of space. Maybe they're in an omnipresent form, or they can be in charge of something, like in charge of your house, in charge of your city, like different spirits that live in different things, and you can communicate with those things. Because numerous times I had experiences like I lost a thing. For example, one time I lost my keys from my car, and it was night, and I had absolutely no idea where it was. And I was in a place, it was not my home, and I had to go home, but I had no keys, and I had no idea where they were. And I was searching with a flashlight from my smartphone, and the battery was dying. It was 2% or something like this. And it was almost desperate. I was almost desperate to find them. And then I just turned to this spirit or whoever lives in this place and asked them, okay, that was funny, but could you please return my keys to me? And in a few seconds, I turned my phone like this in a place where I was searching before. And there I saw a piece of wood and my keys lying there, just like this, like somebody put them in this place for me to find. I see my keys, I take them with my hand, and my battery dies and the flashlight goes off. So it was impressive. And at this moment, I just thanked whoever helped me. I said, thank you. And I went to my car and went home. So this moment of communication and this feeling of the feedback which I received, it's like talking to a living human. I turned to him or her, I don't know. I asked something. I received help, and I thanked, and that was a communication. So this, there are several episodes in my life just like this, which made me know that this world does not belong to humans, but we are in charge of a part of it, and we have to communicate with others and not think that we are alone in the universe. For sure, we're not alone, even on the earth.
Thanks. So, just honestly, what's your vision of the future? Straight from the heart.
In the future, yeah, I believe in the near future, humanity will go through the process of change. And the process of change to some will be natural and awaited and expected. For some, it will look like a catastrophe because the world that was built on their beliefs and on their aspirations, maybe some egoistic patterns, will be changed, transformed 100%. And that may seem like death to them, but not physical death, but death of everything they have known before. But I think in general, that will be a joyful process, because that will be a process of, like, you awake from a nightmare and you think, oh, thank God it was a nightmare. How could I believe what I had just seen in this dream, in this bad dream? And to the majority of people, I believe it will be a process not so visible or something, how to say it in English, not so vivid, but very natural. So they will find themselves living in a different reality. And for fewer people who are consciously doing these changes, it will be unexpected and so awaited changes and very reasonable changes that are happening at last, and humanity as a whole living organism will heal from this nightmare of divide and conquer, of wars, of strange behavior, strange suicidal behavior, and eventually it will heal and become a different person, a different human. I mean, the whole humanity. And one of the great aspects of this change, I believe, will be the elimination of divide and conquer between man and woman.
Right.
Because what is our world? It is born by interaction between the great feminine and the great masculine, and everything has these two aspects: the great feminine and the great masculine. And that's why I believe there are men and women on Earth, and I also believe elsewhere in the universe. And the love will prevail between man and woman, and this will bear great changes. And I think our future is bright, but right now it doesn't seem like this. But I think in the end it will be bright, and we will arrive there soon.
Yeah.
In this lifetime.
Excuse me. Great point. I mean, great in that sense, and that logic, that all of those nasty behaviors, all those intimidating behaviors and wars and conflicts, they should have passed a long time ago, but somehow people are not ready yet. Maybe it will change soon. So maybe, meaning we have to change it. So whenever I think maybe it will be changed, or will change, we will change it. We have to do it. We have to do it somehow ourselves, thinking different way, and first of all, not by not making enemies with other people. That's all I can say.
Sure. And that's why also for this reason the ethics of the cosmos is there, because it includes people from all over the world, and it has recently started. I think it will gain more people from more countries, and really, I think it's a historical process right now. We are writing history. Yeah.
Well, hope so. Hope so. Yeah, we'll try to do as much as we can. That field of creating the completely new reality, and with the help of people with selfless and very positive intentions towards others. And first of all, making at the back of my mind, making it in the minds of other people that, so that we are not alone, and there are other beings. We share the space with other beings, wherever they come from. It doesn't matter. So
Sure.
so thank you, Timofey.
Yeah, thank you, Pawel.